press through the back end to push that boat forward into these. And we have some really exciting matchups in the Princess Grace Challenge Cup this morning for you. Here on course, Rowing Australia, the Australian women's quadruple scull. Half of that crew won the Olympic bronze medal in this event in Tokyo. Matching up against the United States of America. A bit later on this morning, we will see China, the Olympic champions, versus the New Zealand national crew. So extremely strong semi-finals today.
Fantastic racing here. What about this semi-final of Henley? The United States racing against Australia. The umpire preparing them to race. The weather looks like it's just slightly calmer now than it was for that previous one, but it is gusty and it's a headwind on the course. It's going to be a long and tough race.
The Princess Grace Challenge Cup, it is Cambridge Boat Club and Craftsbury Green Racing Project, United States of America, with the national team blades there up against Rowing Australia.
Need real skill going off the start here in these quads into the headwind. I'm sure we'll see that from the Australian crew, leaving it in really tight to the island. You can see them having to make a little correction there. That's a little bit too tight. It's not going to help them. Both crews really getting buffeted around a little bit. And we're straight away thinking whether they're going to be certainly on their rudders, whether John Hedger there in the umpire's launch is going to need to be on the flags. I'm not quite so sure, because the crews are well apart and they'll just be feeling the breeze even stronger now as they get towards the top of the island.
It's very difficult today. We've seen with these headwind conditions a lot of crews struggling with their steering coming past Temple Island, but the Australians, big correction on the rudder, but they're now almost at a length lead in this very early stage of the race. The crew stroked by Kate Rowan, Harriet Hudson and Rowena Meredith. Behind her, the two Olympic bronze medalists in the women's quadruple scull from Tokyo. Tara Rigney won bronze in the women's single scull at the World Cup in Poznan and has come into this quad to strengthen this boat ahead of the Lucerne World Cup next week and for this regatta, of course.
Yes, I saw Tara Rigney sculling in Poznan in that single, and she did look very impressive getting that bronze medal. So Sarah strengthening the crew up by the sound of it. You're going to look at that steering, aren't you?
Yeah, big correction there from the crew from the United States of America. But as we said, tricky conditions, especially in these uncoxed boats. We're even seeing, as we saw in the previous race, the coxed boats struggling with the steering. So being uncoxed, these crews, it would generally be the stroke person. Although when I raced this event for Rowing Australia back in 2011, I was in the two-seat with the steering. Read what you will into that, maybe a bit of a control freak, but yeah.
I was going to say that you had special skills, Sarah, but it's up to you. Now, as you say, in this boat, it is both the stroke seats who are steering, so it's Sophia Vitas for the US and it's Kate Rowan for Australia, both with the rudder attached to their foot, usually your right foot, I think. And they'll be able to look straight behind them. There's markers to help them on the Henley course, so it's a long orange painted pole in a V, which they line up almost. You can see them now. Thank you for that bit of direction. You can see it on the right there behind the start, just about make it out, so that the stroke steerers can look behind them and check whether they're lining up the V and the stick to keep them in a straight line. The course also helps you to see that, and these two lining up pretty well. Obviously a bit tricky to tell the distance from up here, but you can look to the left at those good old progress boards which show crew number 1 still has an overlap with crew number 2, so we know that it's something like 3/4 of a length at this point.
So they've come past the barrier now. It is Rowing Australia currently leading Cambridge Boat Club and Craftsbury Green Racing Project from the United States of America. In the US crew, in the bow seat, Maggie Fellows, 31 years of age. She raced in the Princess Royal Challenge Cup in 2021 and advanced to the semi-finals. She also won the championship single scull at the Head of the Charles in 2021. So obviously looking for a big project here, this quad scull from the United States of America.
And that quad from the US are hanging in here pretty well. Both these crews are at 34 strokes a minute, and you can see they're absolutely stroke for stroke. So now it's all about distance per stroke and efficiency, not slowing the boat down in between those strokes. But it's a long, hard race into this headwind, as we've already said. So that efficiency could still pull through for the American crew. I've got to say I'm pretty impressed here that the Australians got out to a length and they seem to have hung in there.
Yeah, we saw a really strong race from the US crew yesterday. I commentated on that race yesterday morning. Really impressive. They got better and better all the way down the track as they got more and more comfortable. But a few dirty strokes here. Oh, bit of a crab there from the US. Oh, no. Heartbreaking for the US. A bit of a crab there, which has just taken some distance off. And I think that the Australians will gather some real confidence from seeing that happen and look to push out their lead. Although Kate's going to have to be careful with the booms here. Maybe it's just the camera angle, but they're quite far over to the left-hand side.
Yeah, and that's a real momentum killer, isn't it? That the American crew were just coming back. They hung on to that overlap, and then suddenly you have a little error like that where someone catches a blade. Totally understandable in these conditions. It is such a skill-based boat with the two sculls in each hand coordinating it together. You just catch a wave or you just put the blade into a bit of water, which is unstable because the water's moving so much. It doesn't lock up at 90 degrees to the water, so when you pull on it, it either goes too deep or it comes loose, and you can see the difference. Just that one missed stroke has made.
And they'll just have to be calm and relaxed here, the Aussies now, with clear water over the United States of America. But anything can happen, as we've seen. We've seen crews lose it in the dying stages, so the key now will be composure. Keep consolidating, staying relaxed in these really tough conditions. You can see the gusts punching down the course, so there's still quite a ways to go here. Anything can happen. As we look there at the back of Tara Rickney, Sydney University Boat Club. In front of her is Rowena Meredith, also of Sydney University Boat Club, Harriet Hudson of Sydney Rowing Club, and in the stroke seat, Kate Rowan of Sydney University Boat Club.
And that crew from Australia will want to just stay calm, as you say, Sarah. Stay calm, stay clean, because anything can happen, because we've seen it happen already. By contrast, the crew from the US trying to get things back together, stick back in their rhythm, which they've done pretty well. These little bumps and wobbles always happen. How well can they handle that? And you can still see that kind of catching blades, hitting these waves, and it's just taking the momentum away, stopping them really coming back and challenging. And cutting down on this distance now, which you can see just probably over a length of clear water.
The Aussies are looking pretty relaxed to me now, Greg. Kate Rowan there, relaxed on her face. And we hear a little call there from John Hedger, just asking Australia to move back onto their station. Sitting there in the front of the boat, Ellen Randall and Tom Westgarth, two of the coaches at the Women's Training Centre in Penrith, who coached these 4 women in the boat.
Yeah, they're sculling pretty well. They're looking pretty smooth, not looking like anything's going to go wrong. It would need to go wrong, I think, now for the crew from America to come back. It would be an enormous move that they'd have to make. They're looking to make that move and sculling a little bit cleaner and tidier now. I think the water's probably got a bit better for the American crew, but they're now within sight of our commentary position. It's probably now only about 20 strokes to the line, and Australia looking very good.
Yeah, as they come into the little bit better water here in the stewards enclosure, in front of the stewards enclosure. Looks like their rates just popped up a tad, taking it all the way to the line here, but looking nice and comfortable as they do it.
Yeah, so Australia looking good as we hear that Go Aussie call coming out. That wasn't Sarah Cook on this occasion, that was someone in the crowd, I think. And they're going to cross the line in front with about a length of clear water ahead of that American crew, who I think battled really well, got into the race, kept that overlap, were unfortunate to catch that blade in the middle of the course, and that victory went in the Princess Grace to Australia.
Princess Grace Challenge Cup, Rowing Australia beating Cambridge Boat Club and Crafts Free Green Racing Project from the United States of America.
And those Aussies will go off now, calm, relax, refuel. There's some rowing machines at the back of the boat sheds, which they'll go into, where they get on there and try and probably get the lactate out of their legs and get themselves ready for the race they know is coming tomorrow. And be able to sit back and enjoy watching other people dealing with what are pretty tough conditions.